Hello, my name is Olavi Esther, and I welcome you to the Clergy Conference of the first session of the Sixth Synod of the Diocese of Lagos Mainland Anglican Communion. We bring to you the highlights of the conference. The first session of the Sixth Synod of the Diocese of Lagos Mainland, with the theme, Let the Children Come Unto Me, officially ended with a Clergy Conference held at the Cathedral Church of St. Jude, Ibukumeta, Lagos, on Monday, 30th May 2022. The conference commenced with a Holy Communion service that featured hymnal renditions, Bible readings, and a sermon. The talk at the conference was delivered by Venerable Tayo Akinboboye. He spoke on Anglicanism in children ministry and focused on Anglicanism and its structures, steps on how to manage children, common learning challenges in children, and the ways we can improve the children ministry. Good afternoon, sir. So my question for you today is, what have you learned from this year's synod as a Sunday school chaplain, and how do you plan to implement it in your parish?
Well, we thank God for this year's synod, especially for the theme, which says, Let the children come unto me. I must confess that the synod has been so impactful, and so many lessons have been learned, especially calling our attention to the Sunday school, our children, the caring of our children. Well, one of the things I would say I've learned as a Sunday school chaplain is more attention needs to be paid to our children in terms of their spiritual, mental, and physical development, especially as we are in a very porous environment. We know that children these days, there are so many things that are taking away the attention from children, even from the family level, from the school level, and even from the church. But now attention has been called to caring for our children, painstaking steps to care for them. And one of the ways to implement this is to, as a chaplain, to pay regular visits to the Sunday school, organizing trainings for the teachers, because we observed that some teachers who came to Sunday school to teach, many of them, they just came perhaps because of their interest, but not that they were actually trained to care for the children. So many of them don't have what it takes in terms of patience with the children, in terms of up-to-date information for the children, and how to pass across. You know, it's another thing to have information, and it's another thing to pass it across to them. And for children, you know, it's like we were told, it's an art, and also it's a science. You understand? Teaching children involves art and science. That means there is a system of passing across this information to them. So as a Sunday school chaplain, I believe that we need to go back to organize training for our teachers, and then visiting them regularly to see how they are doing. And then attention also ought to be paid to their environment. You know, when you, especially in our own Archdeaconry, when you go to some Sunday schools, you see that children are choky in their environment. They are not, then, you know, there's all these charts and all those things that help the children. They are not available in some Sunday schools. So this has to be done, and we will have to relate well with the vicars to help us in this area, because as a Sunday school chaplain, once I'm not a vicar, I may not be able to do much, except I relate with the vicars to help us. So that means there must be cooperation between the vicars, the chaplains, the superintendent, and the Sunday school teachers. I believe with this, we will go a long way to improve our Sunday school. Thank you.
So my question for you today is, what have you learned from this year's synod, and how do you plan to implement it in your parish?
Okay, thank you for speaking with me. I think that this year's synod has been, for me, one of the most appropriate in terms of timing and in terms of possible impact, not only upon the church but also upon the society. Because of the challenges of our environment as a developing nation, the things that affect the children and the youths are always never attended to, because even us as adults, we are struggling with the basics of life, and so those other aspects are taken as, if you like, afterthoughts, if indeed we even look at them. So carving out that focus on the children and the Sunday school for this synod is very vital and laudable. My key takeaways is that we need to again go back to the fundamentals. The Anglican Church has been strong on the Sunday school, and for good reason, such that those who go through the Sunday school are well grounded on the faith, as well as in terms of morality for the society. Now, as long as that is not done well, the impact of the church in the society is also whittled down. So I have to go back now and begin to look at the nitty-gritty of my Sunday school again, vis-a-vis the realities in the society. One of the things I ask is, how do you expect a young child who goes to a properly structured nursery school or secondary or primary school 5 days in a week, and then on Sunday you put him in a ramshackle environment, you put teachers who are not able to connect with him, you're saying something about God to him, and it is not the true picture of God. So the Sunday school ought to be better than the main church, both in terms of facilities, in terms of ambience, in terms of resource people. And that's what my own takeaway from this is. You know, recently I was speaking to a friend of mine who relocated from Aberdeen to Bristol in the UK. And I was saying, which church are you going to? And he said to me, one of the critical things in choosing the church that we're going to was the Sunday school. So they've had to change churches. And what they did was to take their children to different churches, and at the end they asked them, which one did you really like? They said, we like this one. So that's the church we are going to go to. Yeah. So that's how important it is for us to, again, the Sunday school is one of the best ways to grow your church. Because when the children come to Sunday school, most likely they will pull their parents to also come to Sunday school. For me, I've got to go back now, and indeed, just before you called me, I was thinking of having that conversation with my Sunday school superintendent. How do we upgrade our Sunday school and make sure that we are at par, if not better than what the children experience in their Monday to Friday existence?
Sir, I want to ask you, sir, how has your journey been as the Synod Secretary in past 6 years, sir?
Very enjoyable, very, very interesting, very, very profitable, and very satisfying.
Wonderful, sir. Sir, what words of wisdom do you have for the new incoming Synod Secretary?
Okay, I'll start by saying, because I did not choose myself to be Synod Secretary, I only tried to use my talent when I was given the opportunity in 1989 when I started. And I became persistent in assisting others, even though I was not officially enlisted. I put up some character traits: to be confidential, to be painstaking, to be committed, and at the same time to do it without counting the cost or asking for reward. Therefore, these are the attributes I will sell to whoever is coming behind me. I can say occasionally it was a thankless job. You will lose more friends and gain more enemies, because I decided not to satisfy everybody that came to me to ask for favor, which is unconstitutional. So many people did not like me. But because I derive joy in it, that I am serving God, because it contributed to my spiritual development and academic attainment, I forged ahead. I went ahead. I did not bother about what people were saying until the Lord saw me through now. So whoever is coming must not think of reward, must not bother about sacrifices, must not even complain about what is it now, the hazards in each, because there are some hazards. Like occasionally I won't leave here until 10 p.m. on daily basis. Occasionally during the synod session like this, especially starting from 1st of March, I never had time for my family. I'll be getting home late, getting here early, and doing more work than my energy can cope with. But glory be to God, that with the assistance that I have, with all the inadequacies, He saw me through. So, confidentiality, maturity, commitment, and confidence in God. That's what I would tell whoever is taking over to have.
Good afternoon, sir. Listening to the lecture you delivered on Anglicanism in children ministry, you spoke about learning challenges in children. So my question for you, sir, is what are the early signs parents should notice, and what are the methods they can use to tackle it?
Okay, I spoke about 5 learning challenges, 5 common learning challenges, but I placed emphasis on dysclasia. Now, when you find a child struggling with reading, a child cannot read on the board. Oftentimes, some parents and even teachers conclude that that child is dull. But you may need to find out exactly what the challenge is. For some children, they look at the letter B and they read it as D. What they are seeing is D and not B. So there are several of those things that presents itself. A child with dysclasia, for instance, doesn't like to stand to read. And if you don't understand some of these things, it affects us in our Bible study. For instance, you give children, or it could even be adults, we are going to read Matthew chapter 18, and you say, you will read 2 verses, you will read 2 verses, and you find that the person with dysclasia, you have lost that person already, because the person doesn't like to stand to read. So what we have done in the Sunday school about 4 years ago was to approach Dysclasia Foundation. Now they came and they spoke to Sunday school teachers about it. Of the about 110 or so teachers that attended that seminar, we had just about 9 teachers who had heard about dysclasia previously. Only 9. So you can imagine that statistics. But thank God, at least I'm sure the teachers are better for it now. So there are different. A child with dysclasia, for instance, doesn't like white paper. You put in something on white paper. The child prefers it to be yellow. So if such children are well managed, it affects our Bible studies too. That's why you find that if you have a large gathering of Bible studies, people who have dysclasia, for instance, can hide among them. But if you single them out, they feel exposed, and it creates a problem. The one that is not too common, that is common rather, but people tend to outgrow, is stammering. Some people don't regard it as learning challenges, but I had my own experience with stammering. So some outgrow it, but others don't, and about 2% carry stammer for life. And you find that such people will not talk because people will make fun of them. So largely, parents, for instance, for stammerers, parents should not shout at them. My friend, will you get away from my side and go and learn how to talk before you come back? It affects the child's morale. A child who has dysclasia should be encouraged or taken to Dysclasia Foundation, for instance. They can help the child. They train the brain. It's because the brain is wired differently. There are notable people who have dysclasia and they think differently. Richard Branson, the owner of Virgin Airlines, is dyslexic. Man has dysclasia. They think differently, they think outside the box. So they are unique people that we need to learn how to manage. Thank you.